The internet practically exploded the moment cameras caught Yandy Smith-Harris and Rasheeda Buckner standing side by side again, smiling like nothing ever happened. For years, fans believed this friendship was dead, buried, and never coming back. So when whispers of a reunion started circulating online, people didn't just raise an eyebrow, they sat straight up. Because let's be real, this wasn't just any fallout. This was the kind of messy, emotional, behind-the-scenes betrayal that reality TV legends are made of. Fans are shocked, timelines are on fire, and the comment sections are split right down the middle. Was this a genuine moment of forgiveness? Or was it a carefully staged reunion designed to snatch headlines, boost storylines, and keep the cameras rolling? Because the tension in that room? You could cut it with a knife. Smiles looked forced, hugs looked rehearsed, and according to insiders, the air was thick with things that were never truly forgiven. Sources close to the situation claim old wounds were reopened the second they locked eyes. Accusations that were never addressed, loyalty that was questioned, and receipts, yes, receipts, that allegedly never made it to the public until now. Emotions ran high as friends picked sides, fans dug up old clips, and family members reportedly warned, don't trust it. Behind the glam, behind the lashes and designer fits, something felt off. The family was left divided. Fans demanded answers, and everyone is asking the same question. Is this reunion real, or is it just another reality TV illusion waiting to implode on camera? Because if history has taught us anything, when these two come together, the drama is never far behind. The moment Yandy walked into the room, everything shifted. The laughter that had been floating around seconds earlier fell flat, like someone had turned the volume all the way down. Rasheeda was already there, seated, calm on the outside, but anyone watching closely could tell her shoulders stiffened. This was the first time they had been in the same space in years without chaos already erupting, and somehow that made it worse. Cameras hovered nearby, lights were bright, and yet the tension felt heavier than ever. Yandy smiled first. Not a full smile, not the kind she used to give Rasheeda back when things were easy, but a careful one. The kind you give when you're not sure if you're about to hug someone or get into a fight. Rasheeda stood slowly, her expression unreadable. Fans would later rewind this moment again and again, dissecting every blink, every breath, every pause that felt just a little too long. Hey, Yandy said, her voice soft but guarded. Hey, Rasheeda replied, matching the tone exactly. That was it. No warmth, no jokes, no instant reunion tears, just two women standing face to face with years of unresolved history between them. Emotions ran high even before a single real conversation started, because both of them knew why they were there, and both of them knew the story had never really been finished. People around them tried to act normal. Friends whispered, producers exchanged looks, someone nervously laughed in the background, but it didn't land. The energy was off, and everyone felt it. Fans are shocked later when insiders reveal that this meeting almost didn't happen at all. Apparently, Rasheeda had nearly walked out before Yandy even arrived. The past hung in the air. The broken trust, the phone calls that never got returned, the moments when one needed the other and felt completely abandoned. None of that had been addressed publicly in a real way, and now here they were, expected to smile for the cameras like nothing ever happened. Rasheeda broke the silence first. So, this is really happening? Yandy nodded. I guess it is. That's when the first crack showed. Rasheeda let out a small laugh, not amused, not friendly. You guess? See, that's the thing. You always guess. Meanwhile, I'm the one left dealing with the fallout. Yandy's jaw tightened. That's not fair. Was it fair when I was calling you and you disappeared? Rasheeda shot back, her voice rising just enough for heads to turn. Was it fair when I had to hear things about you from everybody else instead of you? The room went quiet again. Fans would later say this was the moment they knew the reunion wasn't as real as it looked online. Yandy took a deep breath, clearly trying to keep her composure. She glanced briefly at the cameras, then back at Rasheeda. I was dealing with my own stuff, Yandy said. You know that. Rasheeda crossed her arms. Everybody's dealing with stuff. That didn't stop me from showing up for you. That hit hard. You could see it in Yandy's eyes. For a split second, the tough exterior cracked, and something more vulnerable peeked through. You think I don't know that? She said quietly. You think I don't replay everything in my head? Around them, friends shifted uncomfortably. Some nodded in agreement with Rasheeda. Others clearly felt for Yandy. The family was left divided before anyone even raised their voice. And this was just the beginning. Someone tried to lighten the mood, suggesting they sit down and talk it out. Reluctantly, they did. The chairs felt too close, the space too small for the emotions that were about to spill. Rasheeda leaned forward, her tone calmer now but sharper somehow. I need to know something, she said. Are you here because you actually want to fix this, or because it looks good? That question landed like a bomb. Yandy froze. Fans would later pause this moment, reading her face, arguing online about what that silence really meant. Yandy finally answered, her voice steady but strained. I'm here because I'm tired, she said. Tired of carrying this, tired of pretending it doesn't hurt. Rasheeda studied her closely. That's not an answer. It is for me, Yandy replied. Maybe not for you. That's when things started to unravel. Old accusations resurfaced, not shouted, but spoken with a quiet intensity that somehow made them worse. Rasheeda brought up loyalty. Yandy brought up feeling judged. Names were mentioned, situations hinted at, nothing fully explained, but enough to remind everyone why this friendship broke in the first place. Fans are shocked when rumors start swirling that there were conversations happening behind the scenes long before this meeting. Some say Yandy reached out months ago. Others claim Rasheeda ignored every message until producers stepped in. Nobody knows the full truth, and that mystery only adds fuel to the fire. I felt stupid defending you, Rasheeda admitted at one point, her voice trembling just slightly. I felt like I was standing alone while you moved on. Yandy looked genuinely hurt. I never moved on from you, she said. I just didn't know how to come back. That should have been the turning point. The moment where things softened. Instead, it opened another wound. Rasheeda shook her head slowly. See, that right there? That's what scares me. Because it sounds nice, but I don't know if I believe it. Silence followed. Heavy, uncomfortable silence. The kind that makes everyone in the room aware that something big is about to happen, something that could either heal everything or completely destroy any chance of reconciliation. Outside the room, fans were already choosing sides without even hearing the full conversation. Social media was buzzing with speculation, old clips resurfacing, timelines being rewritten in real time. Everyone wanted to know who was wrong, who was fake, and who was just playing the game. Inside, Yandy leaned back, clearly frustrated. I didn't come here to be put on trial, she said. Rasheeda responded instantly. And I didn't come here to be played again. That word hung in the air. Again, because that's what this was really about. Fear. Fear of being hurt twice. Fear of trusting someone who already let you down once. Fear that this reunion, no matter how emotional it looked, was nothing more than a setup for another disappointment. And just as it seemed like the conversation was about to explode into something irreversible, a message came through that changed everything, pulling both of them back into the past in a way neither of them was prepared for, and forcing them to confront a truth that had been kept quiet for far too long. The phone buzzed on the table between them, loud enough to break the tension like glass shattering. Both women looked down at it at the same time. Rasheeda didn't touch it at first. Yandy didn't either. For a moment, neither of them moved, like whoever grabbed it would be forced to face whatever was coming next. Finally, Rasheeda slid the phone closer to herself and glanced at the screen. Her face changed instantly. Whatever was written there wiped away the guarded calm she'd been holding onto. Her lips pressed together, and her eyes hardened. What is it? Yandy asked, already sensing this wasn't just another random interruption. Rasheeda hesitated, then turned the phone so Yandy could see. The message was short but loaded. It was from someone they both knew. Someone tied directly to the night everything fell apart. The night neither of them ever talked about publicly. So now this person wants to pop back up, Rasheeda said bitterly. After all this time, Yandy swallowed. I didn't know they were coming. Rasheeda laughed, sharp and humorless. That's what you always say. That accusation reignited everything. Emotions ran high all over again as Rasheeda stood up, pacing now, unable to sit still. You don't understand what it did to me, she said. I was defending you, trusting you, and then I find out people were having conversations behind my back. Yandy stood too. That's not how it happened. Then tell me how it happened, Rasheeda snapped, turning to face her. Because every time I asked, you shut down. The room felt smaller. Friends looked uncomfortable. One person quietly stepped outside. Another shook their head, whispering that this was going left fast. The family was left divided in real time, with some clearly siding with Rasheeda's pain, others believing Yandy was being unfairly attacked. Yandy took a deep breath. I didn't tell you because I was embarrassed, she admitted. I was trying to fix something I broke, and I failed. That was new. Rasheeda stopped pacing. What do you mean you broke it? Yandy hesitated, then spoke slowly, like choosing each word carefully. I made a promise I couldn't keep. I thought I could protect everyone. You included. Rasheeda's eyes narrowed. Protect me from what? Yandy looked away for a second. From the truth. Fans are shocked when whispers of this conversation start leaking out. Suddenly everyone wants to know what truth Yandy was hiding. Blogs speculate wildly. Some say it was about money. Others say it was about loyalty. Others claim it involved family in a way that crossed lines you don't uncross. Rasheeda folded her arms again. So you decided for me, she said quietly. You decided what I could handle. I was wrong, Yandy said instantly. I know that now. Rasheeda let out a shaky breath. Do you know what it felt like watching you move on like nothing happened? Yandy shook her head. I didn't move on. I isolated. Same difference, Rasheeda replied. The silence that followed was heavy, but different now. Less explosive, more sad. This wasn't just anger anymore. This was grief. Grief over a friendship that once felt unbreakable and now felt fragile, uncertain, maybe even impossible to rebuild. Someone finally spoke up from the side. Maybe y'all should hear each other instead of assuming. Rasheeda glanced over, then back at Yandy. I'm listening, she said. But this is your last chance to be real with me. Yandy nodded slowly. When things started going bad, I was warned, she said. I was told that if I brought you into it, it would drag you down too. I believed them. Rasheeda's voice dropped. Who told you that? Yandy named the person. The reaction was immediate. Rasheeda's face twisted in disbelief. You trusted them over me? I trusted fear, Yandy replied. And it cost me you. That line hit hard. Even people watching later would admit it sounded genuine. But Rasheeda wasn't ready to soften yet. Fear doesn't excuse betrayal, she said. Yandy nodded. I know. Outside, fans were already arguing whether this was redemption or manipulation. Some believed Yandy was finally taking accountability. Others thought the timing was too perfect, the words too polished. The cameras didn't miss a thing. Rasheeda sat back down, rubbing her temples. I don't know if I can go back to how it was, she admitted. Too much damage. Yandy sat across from her again. I'm not asking for that, she said. I'm asking for honesty, even if it hurts. Rasheeda looked up. Then be honest. Why now? Yandy didn't answer immediately. That pause said everything. Because I saw you, she finally said. Thriving. Standing strong. And I realized I lost someone real chasing things that weren't. Rasheeda scoffed lightly. That sounds nice. It's true, Yandy insisted. And yeah, the cameras are here. I won't pretend they're not. But I would have said this even without them. Rasheeda studied her face again, searching for cracks, for signs of performance. You know once trust is gone, it doesn't come back the same, she said. I'm not expecting it to, Yandy replied. I just don't want it to be fake silence anymore. Another message buzzed. This time Rasheeda ignored it. I'm tired, she said. Tired of pretending this didn't hurt me. Me too, Yandy said softly. That's when Rasheeda surprised everyone. Then stop explaining, she said. And just listen. For the next stretch of time, Rasheeda talked. About feeling abandoned. About defending Yandy when others warned her not to. About feeling foolish when things fell apart and everyone acted like they saw it coming. Her voice cracked more than once. Emotions ran high, but there was no yelling now. Just raw honesty. Yandy listened. She didn't interrupt. She didn't argue. She didn't correct. And that, more than anything else, shifted the energy in the room. I needed you, Rasheeda said quietly at the end. And you weren't there. Yandy's eyes filled. I know, she whispered. And I hate myself for that. That confession landed heavy. Nobody spoke. Even the background noise seemed to fade. Fans later said this was the moment that felt most real. Not flashy. Not dramatic. Just painful. Rasheeda wiped her face. This doesn't fix everything, she said. And it doesn't mean we're suddenly best friends again. I wouldn't expect that, Yandy replied. But, Rasheeda continued, it means I hear you. Yandy nodded, clearly holding back tears. That's more than I had yesterday. Just when it seemed like the worst was over, another twist surfaced. Someone in the room spoke up, revealing that there had been conversations happening recently that neither woman knew about. Conversations that suggested someone else had been actively keeping them apart. Rasheeda turned sharply. What do you mean? The person hesitated, then spilled it. Messages, screenshots, timelines that didn't add up. Suddenly, the narrative shifted again. Fans are shocked when they realize the fallout may not have been as simple as betrayal between two friends, but manipulation from the outside. Yandy looked stunned. You're saying we were played? Rasheeda's expression darkened. If that's true, she said slowly, then a lot of people owe us explanations. The energy changed again, this time turning outward. Anger redirected, questions piling up. The story was no longer just about whether Yandy and Rasheeda could be friends again, but about who benefited from keeping them apart. And as the room buzzed with this new revelation, both women realized the reunion wasn't the end of the drama. It was just opening a door to something even messier, something that would force them to decide whether they were willing to stand together again, not as best friends, but as allies against a truth that was finally coming to light. The room erupted into overlapping voices as soon as that revelation dropped. People started talking at once, trying to piece together timelines, recalling moments that suddenly felt suspicious. Rasheeda sat still, her face tight, absorbing it all. Yandy, on the other hand, looked like someone had just knocked the air out of her. So you're telling me, Rasheeda said slowly, that while we were blaming each other, somebody else was pulling strings? The person who spoke up nodded. That's what it looks like. Emotions ran high all over again, but this time the anger felt different. It wasn't pointed directly at each other anymore. It was sharper, more focused. Betrayal hits differently when you realize you may have been manipulated. Yandy leaned forward. Why am I just hearing this now? Because people were scared, came the answer. Scared to get involved, scared to pick sides. Rasheeda laughed, shaking her head. Oh, everybody had a side. They just didn't want to admit it. Fans are shocked when this detail starts circulating later. Suddenly old scenes, old interviews, old shady comments start making sense. People begin to rewatch everything with new eyes, questioning who was genuine and who was playing both sides. Rasheeda turned to Yandy. Do you see why I didn't trust you? She asked. From my perspective, it looked like you chose them. Yandy nodded slowly. I get that now, she said. And I hate that I let someone else come between us. Hate isn't enough, Rasheeda replied. But it's a start. The conversation shifted into something more investigative. Names were mentioned again, moments recalled. Yandy admitted there were times she'd been warned not to reach out. Rasheeda admitted there were times she'd been told Yandy didn't care. The lies were subtle, believable, just enough to keep the distance growing. We were both fed stories, Yandy said quietly. Rasheeda sighed, and we both believed them. That realization hit harder than any argument. Because it meant years of pain might have been avoidable. Years of silence that didn't need to exist. The family was left divided not just between Yandy and Rasheeda, but between truth and perception. One of the friends spoke up again. The question is, what do y'all do now? Rasheeda leaned back, crossing her arms. Now, she repeated, now I don't trust anybody in this room except maybe her, she said, nodding slightly toward Yandy. And that took a lot to say. Yandy's eyes widened, clearly not expecting that. I don't take that lightly, she said. At all. But just as things seemed to be moving towards some fragile understanding, another emotional landmine went off. Someone mentioned family, not in a vague way. Specific family members who had been affected by the fallout. Who had felt the tension at holidays. Who had asked uncomfortable questions no one knew how to answer. Rasheeda's face softened for a moment. My kids asked about you, she admitted. They noticed you weren't around anymore. Yandy's breath caught. You never told me that. Because I was angry, Rasheeda said. And because I didn't want to admit how much it hurt. That admission changed the tone again. The drama wasn't just about them. It had ripples. Kids, partners, mutual friends forced to choose silence or sides. Fans are shocked when they realize how deep the divide actually went. I thought you didn't want anything to do with us, Yandy said. Rasheeda shook her head. I wanted accountability. They locked eyes. For the first time, there was no sarcasm, no edge. Just exhaustion. I don't know if we can ever be what we were, Rasheeda said. But I don't want to be enemies. Neither do I, Yandy replied immediately. That should have been a moment of peace. Instead, it opened the door to another tough question. Rasheeda leaned forward again. If we try to move forward, she said, what happens when the cameras leave? That question hung heavy, because it cut straight to the heart of everything fans were asking. Was this real? Or was this just for the cameras? Yandy didn't dodge it. Then it has to be real without them, she said. Or it shouldn't happen at all. Rasheeda nodded slowly. I can respect that. But not everyone in the room was convinced. Whispers started again. Someone muttered that timing was suspicious. Another said reunions always look better when there's something to promote. The doubt crept back in, threatening to undo the fragile progress they'd made. Rasheeda stood up. I need air, she said. Yandy followed her outside a moment later. The noise inside faded, replaced by a heavy quiet. They stood a few feet apart, not quite ready to close the distance. I meant what I said, Yandy spoke first. About listening. Rasheeda nodded. And I meant what I said about trust being different now. They stood there, the weight of years between them. Do you regret it? Rasheeda asked suddenly. Walking away? Yandy didn't hesitate. Every day. Rasheeda looked down. Then prove it, she said. Not today. Not on camera. Over time. I will, Yandy said. That's when Rasheeda surprised her again. I don't forgive easily, she said. But I don't forget effort either. Inside, people watched them through the glass, speculating, whispering. Fans would later analyze this moment endlessly, reading body language like it was a puzzle. Were they reconciling? Or was this just a temporary truce? When they went back inside, the mood had shifted yet again. Calmer, but heavier. Truths had been spoken, lies exposed, but resolution was still far away. Someone asked if they were good now. Rasheeda answered first. We're honest, she said. And that's more than we've been in a long time. Yandy nodded. And we're figuring it out. That answer satisfied no one and everyone at the same time. Fans are shocked by how unresolved it felt. No dramatic hug, no full breakdown, no clear happy ending. As the gathering started to wind down, one last comment stirred everything up again. A friend casually mentioned an upcoming event where both women were expected to appear together publicly. Rasheeda raised an eyebrow. Together? Yandy looked just as surprised. That's the first I'm hearing of it. The implication was clear. This reunion might not be done on their terms. Outside forces were still at play, still eager to shape the narrative. Rasheeda sighed. See? This is what I'm talking about. Yandy clenched her jaw. Then maybe this time, we control it. Rasheeda looked at her, considering. Maybe, she said, or maybe this is where we see who's really changed. The night ended without closure. Hugs were awkward, goodbyes were cautious. Fans would later say it felt like the calm before another storm. Because as much as was said, as much as was revealed, one question remained unanswered. Was this reunion the beginning of healing, or just the opening scene of an even bigger fallout waiting to happen? The next morning didn't bring clarity. It brought noise. Phones buzzing non-stop, group chats lighting up, blogs already spinning their own versions of what happened behind closed doors. By the time Rasheeda woke up, her name was trending, and not in a flattering way. Some fans were praising her for standing her ground. Others were accusing her of being cold, unforgiving, dragging things out for attention. Emotions ran high before she even got out of bed. Across town, Yandy stared at her screen in silence. She didn't repost anything, didn't comment, didn't defend herself. The quiet was intentional. She knew anything she said now could make things worse. Still, it hurt seeing strangers decide who she was based on fragments of a moment they didn't live through. By midday, mutual friends started calling both of them, each conversation somehow making things more complicated. One friend told Rasheeda that Yandy seemed sincere. Another warned Yandy that Rasheeda was only halfway in. The family was left divided again, not just between the two women, but among everyone orbiting them. When they finally spoke later that day, it wasn't planned. It wasn't dramatic. It was a simple call that lasted longer than either expected. I didn't expect this much backlash, Rasheeda admitted. Yandy exhaled. I did. That's why I stayed quiet. Rasheeda paused. You think that helps? I think reacting feeds it, Yandy replied. And I'm tired of feeding it. That honesty disarmed Rasheeda more than any apology had. Me too, she said softly. There was a long silence. Not awkward, reflective. People keep asking if we're friends again, Rasheeda finally said. Yandy didn't rush to answer. What do you think? She asked instead. Rasheeda considered it. I think we're two people who stopped pretending. I can live with that, Yandy replied. But peace didn't last. That upcoming event everyone whispered about suddenly became real. Invitations went out, announcements were made, and just like that, they were expected to show up together, smiling, unified, before anything between them had actually healed. Rasheeda was furious. This is exactly what I was talking about, she snapped during another call. They're forcing a moment. Yandy agreed. Then we don't give them what they expect. Meaning? Rasheeda asked. Meaning we don't fake it, Yandy said. We show up as we are. No performance. Rasheeda laughed lightly. That might scare them more than drama. The day of the event arrived with cameras everywhere. Flashes, whispers, fans watching closely, waiting for a hug, a smile, a sign. When Rasheeda walked in, heads turned. When Yandy followed moments later, the energy shifted instantly. They saw each other across the room. No rushing, no theatrics, just a nod, acknowledgement, respect. Fans are shocked by how understated it was. No big reunion moment, no headline grab. When they finally stood side by side, a reporter shouted the question everyone wanted answered. Are you two officially good now? Rasheeda glanced at Yandy. Yandy looked back. A decision passed silently between them. We're honest, Rasheeda said. And we're taking it day by day. Yandy added, and that's real. That answer didn't satisfy everyone. Some wanted tears. Some wanted fireworks. Some wanted a clear villain and a clear redemption arc. But real life didn't fit neatly into those boxes. Behind the scenes, the pressure intensified. Producers wanted sit-downs. Blogs wanted exclusives. Friends wanted reassurance. Everyone wanted something from this moment except patience. Rasheeda started pulling back again. Not out of anger, but self-preservation. Yandy noticed. Are you shutting down? She asked one evening. Rasheeda was honest. I'm scared. Of me? Yandy asked quietly. Of hope, Rasheeda replied. Because if I believe this is different and it's not, that's on me. Yandy nodded. Then let me earn it. Weeks passed. No dramatic gestures. Just small things. Checking in. Showing up. Respecting boundaries. Fans grew restless. Some declared the reunion fake because it wasn't loud enough. Others said it was the realest thing they'd seen. Then another twist hit. The person accused of keeping them apart finally spoke out, denying everything, flipping the narrative, suggesting both women were exaggerating to rewrite history. Emotions ran high once again. Rasheeda was livid. Now they're calling us liars. Yandy clenched her fists. This is what I warned you about. No, Rasheeda said firmly. This is where we decide if we're standing together or not. That moment mattered. Yandy didn't hesitate. Together, they released a joint statement. Calm, measured, no blame, but no backing down either. Fans are shocked by the unity. The internet, used to chaos, didn't know what to do with maturity. Still, the damage wasn't undone overnight. Trust rebuilt slowly, unevenly. Some days felt hopeful, others felt distant. There were moments Rasheeda pulled away, moments Yandy questioned if it was worth the emotional risk. One late-night conversation brought it all back into focus. "Do you miss us?" Rasheeda asked suddenly. Yandy smiled sadly. "I miss what we could have been if fear hadn't been louder than love." Rasheeda swallowed. "I don't want to live in what-ifs anymore." "Then let's live in now," Yandy said. That didn't mean instant forgiveness. It meant effort. It meant honesty even when it was uncomfortable. It meant choosing not to let outsiders define their story anymore. Fans are shocked by how quiet things became after that. No blow-ups, no viral clips, just two women navigating something complicated without an audience guiding their steps. And yet, the question never fully disappeared. Was this friendship real, or was it still shaped by the pressure of perception? The truth sat somewhere in the middle. Messy, unfinished, human, because not all reunions come with happy endings. Some come with work, some come with boundaries, some come with scars that don't fade, only remind you to be careful. And as Rasheeda and Yandy continued forward, not hand in hand but side by side, one thing became clear. Whatever this was, it wasn't fake peace. It was fragile, intentional, and still unfolding. The weeks that followed tested everything they had said out loud. Silence became just as loud as arguments used to be. Some days Yandy would text and get a reply hours later. Other days Rasheeda would reach out first, only to overthink every word she sent. Emotions ran high even in the quiet moments, because rebuilding something broken is often harder than fighting while it's falling apart. Fans are shocked by how inconsistent things appeared from the outside. One day there were sightings of them in the same space, laughing lightly with mutual friends. The next day, cryptic posts surfaced that made people question if another fallout was coming. Social media turned into a courtroom, with everyone acting like a judge, jury, and executioner. Rasheeda felt the pressure deeply. "I hate that people think they're entitled to our healing," she admitted during a private conversation. "Like we owe them updates." Yandy agreed. "We taught them to expect drama. Now they don't know what to do with growth." But growth wasn't linear. One rumor nearly derailed everything again. A blog claimed Yandy was planning a separate project that conveniently excluded Rasheeda, framing it as proof that the reunion was fake. The headline spread fast. Emotions ran high once more. Rasheeda didn't confront Yandy immediately. Instead, she sat with it, replaying old patterns in her head. This was where things usually went wrong. Assumptions, distance, resentment. Yandy felt the shift before Rasheeda said a word. "Something's wrong," she said when they finally spoke. Rasheeda didn't yell. She didn't accuse. She asked, "Is there something you're doing that I should hear from you before I hear it from the internet?" That question alone marked how far they'd come. Yandy answered honestly. "No," she said, "and if there was, you'd hear it from me first." Rasheeda exhaled. "Okay, I'm choosing to believe that." That choice mattered, not because it erased doubt but because it stopped it from taking control. Still, outside voices kept trying to pull them apart. Friends questioned motives. Fans picked sides. Even family members expressed concern. The family was left divided again, with some saying forgiveness was dangerous, others saying holding on to anger was worse. One conversation cut deeper than the rest. Rasheeda's partner asked her quietly, "Are you sure you're not setting yourself up to get hurt again?" Rasheeda didn't have a perfect answer. "I'm sure I'm tired of living guarded," she said. Yandy faced similar questions. "What if she never fully trusts you again?" someone asked. "Then I accept that," Yandy replied. "Trust isn't owed, it's built." That mindset shift didn't come easily. There were nights Yandy replayed every mistake she'd made, wondering if accountability would ever be enough. There were moments Rasheeda caught herself waiting for the other shoe to drop, bracing for disappointment that didn't always come. Then another unexpected twist surfaced. An old mutual friend gave an interview, revealing private conversations and framing themselves as the real victim in the fallout. Names were dropped, blame was shifted, the narrative twisted yet again. Fans are shocked by how messy it became. Comment sections exploded, emotions ran high across every platform. Suddenly, Yandy and Rasheeda were being dragged back into a story they were actively trying to move beyond. Rasheeda called Yandy immediately. "We can't keep doing this," she said. "Every time we take a step forward, someone pulls us back." Yandy agreed. "Then we stop reacting." "That's easier said than done," Rasheeda replied. "I know," Yandy said. "But reacting is how they stay relevant." That decision wasn't popular. Silence was interpreted as guilt. Restraint was labeled fake. Fans demanded responses that never came. And yet, something interesting happened. The noise slowly lost power. Behind the scenes, the dynamic between them shifted again. Less tension, more ease. They didn't talk every day, but when they did, it felt intentional, not forced. They started showing up to the same events without announcing it. No staged photos, no dramatic entrances. Fans are shocked when they notice it. "They're in the same room and nothing happened," one comment read. Another said, "This feels more real than all the blow-ups combined." Still, the unresolved question lingered. Was this friendship ever going to look like it used to? Or was this something new entirely? Rasheeda finally put words to it one night. I don't want us to go backward, she said. Even if backward was good. Yandy smiled softly. Then let's build something that fits who we are now. That honesty felt like relief. Because it removed the pressure of recreating the past. They weren't trying to be best friends again overnight. They were trying to be respectful, truthful, and present. One small moment sealed that shift. Rasheeda experienced a personal setback that she didn't share publicly. No announcement, no sympathy posts, just life happening. Yandy found out through someone else and hesitated before reaching out. Old Yandy might have stayed quiet, afraid of overstepping. This time, she didn't. I heard, she texted. I'm here if you want. Hours passed. Then Rasheeda replied, thank you. That means more than you know. No cameras, no witnesses, just support. Fans never saw it, and that was the point. Slowly, the story stopped being about whether the friendship was real and started being about whether the public could accept something quieter than chaos. Some fans drifted away, bored without drama. Others stayed, intrigued by the authenticity. The family was left divided less often. Friends relaxed, tension eased, but the risk never disappeared. Trust remained fragile. One mistake could still unravel everything. Both women knew it. This only works if we keep choosing it, Rasheeda said during one of their last recorded conversations. Yandy nodded. And if we stop letting fear make our decisions. In the end, the reunion didn't come with a clean ending or a dramatic bow. It came with boundaries, with effort, with moments of doubt and moments of clarity. And maybe that's why it unsettled so many people. Because it didn't follow the script. It didn't explode or collapse. It just existed. Not perfect, not polished, not performative, real enough to keep going, and fragile enough to remind them why they had to be careful this time. Time passed in a way that felt unfamiliar to both of them. Not rushed, not forced, just slow enough to be uncomfortable. The absence of chaos made space for reflection, and reflection brought up feelings neither of them had fully processed before. Emotions ran high in private moments, even when things looked calm on the surface. Rasheeda started noticing small shifts in herself. She wasn't constantly bracing anymore, not constantly waiting for disappointment. But that scared her too, because comfort had once made the fall hurt worse. She talked about it with a close friend one night, admitting, I don't know how to trust without losing myself. Yandy was dealing with her own internal battle. Accountability sounded noble, but living in it meant constantly facing the damage she'd caused. There were days she wondered if stepping back into Rasheeda's life was selfish. If reopening wounds just to ease her own guilt was fair. The question haunted her. Then another test came, quietly but sharply. A private moment between them was leaked. Not dramatic, not explosive, just a candid interaction taken out of context and spun into a headline suggesting tension where there wasn't any. Fans are shocked by how fast the narrative flipped again. Rasheeda felt the old anger rise. See, she said during a call. This is why I stay guarded. Yandy didn't defend herself. I get it, she said. But let's not let strangers tell us what we're feeling. Rasheeda paused. That response was different. No excuses, no defensiveness, just understanding. Okay, she said quietly. I'm trying. Trying became the theme. Not fixing, not proving, just trying. It wasn't glamorous, and it didn't trend, but it mattered. Another unexpected moment pushed things further. A mutual friend hosted a small gathering, nothing public, nothing planned. Both women were invited separately. Neither knew the other would be there. When they realized it, there was a brief moment of hesitation. Do you want me to leave? Yandy asked softly. Rasheeda shook her head. No, stay. That choice spoke volumes. The night wasn't dramatic. They didn't stick together the whole time. They didn't avoid each other either. They existed in the same space without tension controlling the room. Fans weren't there to analyze it, and that made it feel real. Later, Rasheeda admitted that felt normal. Yandy smiled. I missed normal. But just as things settled, another layer of truth surfaced. Someone close to both of them finally admitted to intentionally exaggerating issues in the past to stay relevant, to feel important, to stay in the middle. It wasn't shocking, but it was painful. The confirmation hurt more than the suspicion ever did. Rasheeda was quiet for a long time after hearing it. We lost years, she said finally. Yandy nodded. I know. And I can't get that back, Rasheeda continued. But I don't want to lose more. That statement marked a shift. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't forgetting. It was a decision to stop bleeding from old wounds. Fans are shocked when the tone online slowly changes. Fewer accusations, fewer think pieces, more confusion. The drama machine didn't know what to do without explosions. Still, unresolved questions lingered. Trust was better, but not solid. There were still moments when Rasheeda pulled back, moments when Yandy overcompensated. Old habits don't disappear quietly. One argument nearly undid everything. It wasn't about the past. It was about a missed call. Something small, something that wouldn't have mattered before. but it triggered something deeper. You disappeared, Rasheeda said, frustration slipping into her voice. I was in a meeting, Yandy replied. I called you back. Hours later, Rasheeda said. That's what it used to be like. Silence followed. Yandy felt the weight of that comparison. I'm not that person anymore, she said. But I understand why it feels the same. Rasheeda exhaled. I don't want to punish you forever. Then don't, Yandy said gently. Just tell me when you're triggered instead of assuming. That conversation didn't end perfectly, but it ended honestly. And honesty was becoming their foundation. The family was left divided less often now, but skepticism remained. Some people never fully trusted the reunion. Others quietly supported it from a distance. Not everyone needed to be convinced. As months passed, the question shifted again. Not is this real, but how long can it last? Rasheeda addressed it one night, almost to herself. I think people expect us to either explode or hug it out forever. Yandy nodded, but real relationships live in the in-between. That truth didn't sell headlines, but it kept them grounded. Another public moment tested that balance. A fan asked directly if the friendship was fully repaired. Rasheeda didn't look at Yandy before answering this time. We're rebuilding, she said. And rebuilding takes time. Yandy added, an effort. That was it. No drama, no tease. Fans are shocked by the restraint. Behind the scenes, something else was happening. Both women were changing how they moved in general. Setting clearer boundaries. Choosing peace more often. Not just with each other, but with everyone. Rasheeda realized she didn't want to be defined by conflict anymore. Yandy realized accountability didn't mean self-punishment forever. One quiet moment brought it all together. They were sitting together, no cameras, no audience. Rasheeda looked over and said, I don't regret giving this another chance. Yandy's voice caught. Neither do I. That didn't mean the story was over. It meant it was still being written. Fans will always debate motives. Timelines will always be dissected. Some will insist it was all for the cameras. Others will swear they saw something genuine. The truth doesn't fully belong to the audience. It lives in the choices made when nobody is watching. And whatever this friendship becomes, it isn't built on pretending anymore. It's built on caution, honesty, and the understanding that some bonds don't return to what they were, but evolve into something quieter, stronger, and far more intentional. Whether it lasts forever or not, one thing is certain. This reunion wasn't just a moment. It was a process. As the months rolled on, the outside noise faded but never fully disappeared. It became background static, something both women learned to live with instead of reacting to. What surprised them most wasn't how much they had changed, but how much the situation revealed about everyone around them. Some people who once thrived off the tension slowly drifted away. Others stayed, adjusting to the new boundaries even if they didn't like them. Rasheeda noticed it first. It's quiet, she said one evening. Too quiet. Yandy smiled faintly. Peace can feel weird when you're used to chaos. Rasheeda nodded, but her eyes showed uncertainty. Peace required trust, and trust still felt like walking on thin ice. There were moments she wanted to sabotage it just to regain control of the outcome. At least conflict was predictable. Healing wasn't. Yandy felt that pull too, though in a different way. There were times she overexplained, overgave, overcorrected, trying to prove she was different now. Rasheeda eventually called it out. You don't have to keep apologizing, she said. I heard you the first time. Yandy looked relieved. I just don't want to mess this up. Rasheeda replied honestly. You might, and I might too. That doesn't automatically mean it's over. That mindset shift marked another quiet turning point. Mistakes were no longer treated as proof of bad intentions. They became conversations instead of conclusions. Still, unresolved emotions surfaced when neither expected them. One night, after a few drinks and too much nostalgia, Rasheeda asked, Do you ever think about how close we were? Yandy didn't hesitate. All the time. Rasheeda swallowed. That loss hit me harder than I admitted. Yandy's voice softened. Me too. That shared grief mattered, because it validated the pain without assigning blame. It wasn't about who was right anymore. It was about what was lost and whether something new could grow in its place. Fans are shocked when subtle changes begin to show publicly. A supportive comment here, a shared laugh caught in the background there. Nothing loud, nothing staged, just presence. Of course, not everyone believed it. Skeptics remained loud, insisting the calm was temporary. Some even predicted another fallout date like it was a sporting event. Emotions ran high online whenever either woman posted anything remotely ambiguous. Rasheeda learned to stop reading comments. Yandy took longer, but eventually did the same. It's like letting strangers into your living room to critique your conversations, she said. Rasheeda laughed. And rearrange your furniture. The more distance they put between themselves and public opinion, the more room there was for honesty. One conversation in particular shifted everything again. If this ends, Rasheeda said, I don't want it to end ugly. Yandy nodded. I don't either. So if you feel yourself pulling away, Rasheeda continued, tell me. And if you feel overwhelmed, Yandy replied, tell me. Simple agreements. Not dramatic, but powerful. Another unexpected moment tested that promise. Yandy had to make a decision that affected mutual friends, and Rasheeda wasn't looped in as early as she would have liked. Old feelings flared instantly. This time, Rasheeda didn't sit with it alone. She called Yandy. I need to tell you something before it turns into resentment, she said. Yandy listened, really listened. Thank you for telling me, she said afterward. I should have reached out sooner. No blow-up, no days of silence, just accountability and repair. Fans never saw it, and again, that was the point. The family was left divided less and less as time passed. Some people warmed up to the idea that this wasn't a performance. Others stayed distant, unconvinced. Both women accepted that not everyone would come along for the journey. One night, Rasheeda admitted something she'd never said out loud. I think part of why I held on to the anger was because it made me feel powerful. Yandy nodded. Anger can feel safer than vulnerability. Rasheeda sighed, but it gets heavy. So does guilt, Yandy replied. That mutual understanding didn't erase the past, but it softened it. The sharp edges dulled. Memories stopped feeling like weapons and started feeling like lessons. As another public appearance approached, both women were noticeably calmer. No strategy meetings, no rehearsed answers, just clarity. Whatever happens, Rasheeda said, I know where we stand. Yandy smiled. Me too. When the inevitable questions came, they answered without tension. No over-explaining, no defensiveness. Fans are shocked by how boring it seemed. And yet, some quietly admitted it felt grown. Behind the scenes, something else shifted. The friendship stopped being the center of their worlds. It became a part of it. Important, but not consuming. That balance mattered. Rasheeda realized she no longer needed constant reassurance. Yandy realized she didn't need constant redemption. Both were learning to exist without the weight of expectations pressing down on every interaction. One final conversation captured it best. Do you think people will ever stop questioning this? Rasheeda asked. Yandy shrugged. Probably not. Rasheeda smiled. I think I'm okay with that now. Me too, Yandy said. Because it's not for them. And that truth settled everything. This reunion didn't come with fireworks or a clean narrative. It came with effort, missteps, honesty, and restraint. It came with choosing understanding over assumptions, communication over silence, growth over comfort. Whether it lasts forever isn't something either of them can predict. But what they built wasn't fake. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't fueled by chaos. It was intentional. And in a world addicted to drama, that might be the most shocking outcome of all. As time continued to move forward, something unexpected happened. The tension that once defined every interaction slowly lost its grip. Not because everything was fixed, but because both women stopped letting fear drive the narrative. Emotions still ran high at times, but they no longer spiraled out of control. Rasheeda noticed she was laughing more when Yandy was around. Not the polite kind of laughter, but the genuine kind that surprised her. It made her pause one night and ask herself when that shift happened. Maybe it was the consistency. Maybe it was the absence of pressure. Maybe it was finally seeing actions match words. Yandy felt it too. She no longer felt like she was walking on eggshells every time they spoke. There was still caution, but it wasn't suffocating. It felt earned, and that mattered more than instant forgiveness ever could. Fans are shocked when months go by without a single explosive moment between them. Blogs that once thrived on their tension slowly stop mentioning them together. Drama hunters move on to louder targets. The silence becomes a strange kind of victory. But silence has a way of bringing buried feelings to the surface. One quiet evening, Rasheeda brought up something she had avoided for a long time. There's still one thing I never said, she admitted. Yandy looked at her, calm but attentive. I'm listening. Rasheeda hesitated. I was embarrassed, she said. Embarrassed that I trusted so deeply and still got hurt. It made me feel weak. Yandy shook her head gently. That wasn't weakness. That was love. Rasheeda's eyes filled. I know that now. That conversation unlocked something deeper. They talked about pride, about fear of looking foolish, about how public scrutiny magnified every mistake and made vulnerability feel dangerous. The family was left divided in the past because nobody knew how to talk about those things without assigning blame. This time, blame stayed out of it. Another unexpected challenge arrived when an old clip resurfaced online, taken completely out of context, reigniting old arguments among fans. Emotions ran high across social media once again. Some demanded explanations. Others accused them of lying about how bad things really were. Rasheeda felt the familiar urge to respond, to defend herself, to correct the narrative. She paused, then called Yandy instead. I want to say something, she admitted. But I don't know if it's worth it. Yandy answered honestly. Will it bring you peace, or just noise? Rasheeda thought about it. Noise. Then let it be noise without us, Yandy said. That choice wasn't easy, but it was powerful. They didn't respond. They didn't engage. And eventually, the internet moved on again, frustrated by the lack of drama. Behind the scenes, something stronger was forming. Not the old friendship, something more grounded, more realistic. Rasheeda started to see Yandy not as the person who hurt her, but as the person actively trying not to repeat that mistake. Yandy started to see Rasheeda not as someone waiting to judge her, but as someone brave enough to stay present despite the risk. Still, doubt hadn't vanished completely. One night, Rasheeda admitted, "I still get scared when things feel good." Yandy nodded. "Me too. Because good feels like something you can lose. But running from it guarantees you do," Rasheeda replied. That realization stuck with both of them. Another public appearance came and went without incident. No tension, no forced unity. Fans are shocked by how normal it felt. Comments shifted from suspicion to curiosity. "They seem different," one read. "Not loud, but solid." That word mattered. Solid. The family was left divided less and less as people adjusted to the new dynamic. Some apologized quietly for choosing sides too harshly in the past. Others stayed distant, and that was accepted without resentment. One afternoon, Rasheeda surprised Yandy by saying, "I don't think I need closure the way I thought I did." Yandy raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "I used to think I needed every question answered," Rasheeda said. "But I realize now some answers wouldn't change the outcome. What matters is what we do now." Yandy smiled. "That's growth. Don't get it twisted," Rasheeda laughed. "I'm still learning." "Same," Yandy replied. Fans are shocked when the narrative around them starts to soften. Not because of a grand gesture, but because of consistency. Weeks turned into months. Months into a year. No major fallout. No public betrayal. Just two people navigating something complicated with intention. There was one final test that neither of them expected. A major opportunity arose that would put them on opposite sides of a public conversation. Old patterns would have turned it into a battle. This time, they talked first. "I don't want this to turn into us versus each other," Rasheeda said. "It won't," Yandy promised. "We can disagree without destroying each other." And they did. Respectfully. Privately. The way healthy relationships do. That moment sealed it more than any apology ever could. One quiet night, sitting together without distractions, Rasheeda said something that surprised even herself. "I trust you." Yandy's breath caught. "I won't take that lightly." "I know," Rasheeda replied. That trust wasn't blind. It was informed, cautious, earned, and that made it stronger than anything they had before. Fans may never fully agree on whether the reunion was real or just for the cameras. Some will always believe it was strategic. Others will swear they saw genuine healing unfold. The truth doesn't live in clips or headlines. It lives in the choices made off camera. In the conversations nobody hears. In the restraint nobody applauds. This story didn't end with a dramatic embrace or a viral moment. It ended with mutual respect, accountability, and the understanding that real connections don't need to prove themselves loudly. Whether the friendship lasts a lifetime or changes again someday, it was no longer built on illusion. It was built on effort. And that made all the difference. So now it's on you. After hearing everything, after all the twists, the silence, the tension, the almost forgiveness and the moments that felt a little too real to be scripted, what do you think? Was this reunion genuine healing, or was it a carefully controlled moment meant to survive the cameras and nothing more? Because one thing is clear, not every smile tells the whole story, and not every quiet moment means peace. Fans are shocked, opinions are divided, and the truth feels just close enough to touch but just far enough to question. Maybe this was growth, maybe it was strategy, maybe it was two people trying to rewrite a painful chapter without letting the past own them anymore. Or maybe this is just the calm before another storm nobody sees coming yet. Now we want to hear from you. Do you believe friendships like this can really come back stronger after betrayal? Or do you think once trust is broken, it never fully returns? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because your perspective matters more than any headline. And if you're living for this kind of behind-the-scenes drama, the unspoken tension, the moments they don't want you to analyze but you do anyway, make sure you hit that like button. It tells the algorithm you're paying attention, and it tells us to keep bringing you the stories nobody else is breaking down this deeply. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. New stories, new twists, and more reality TV drama that keeps you guessing every single time are on the way. And turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next, because if this story has taught us anything, it's that the real drama never ends where you think it will. Now tell us, real friendship, or just for the cameras?